So with our little white Fiesta now moved on to a new home, it was time to start a new project, and this would be an Audi TT. The dirtiest part, and the part I wanted to knock out first, was the seats and interiors. As you can see, it's two-tone split, leather and Alcantara interior, with 130,000 miles on it. It was fairly worn in all areas. That includes the seat runners as well. First job was undo the 4 M10 multi-spline bolts to hold the seat down and disconnect the airbag sensor. Once that's done, with the seat reclined, it easily popped out of the car to reveal what was a winning £1.40, however not so winning, large amount of coffee stains on the leather, plastics and the carpets surrounding where the seat had been. Job for a little bit later on. Now with the seat out, I laid it down on an old towel on the driveway and set to work. Personally, always like to work the top of the seat first, just so I know later on I don't get any drips and runs come down into it later. Now, my cleaning process may be somewhat controversial on this one, so I'm going to get some bad comments, I'm going to get some good comments, but I certainly went at this seat and the results really do speak to themselves, so hang around for that. The product in use here was Finesse Total Interior Cleaner. Not the heaviest of cleaner I know. However, using strong tools and wet extractors, I know that I didn't need something too heavy, and it was decanted into a 1 litre bottle. First off, I started by spraying the product over the fabric area and then working it in with a stiff bristle Vikan nail brush. All of the products will be linked in the description below, so don't worry about that, you can pick them up at a later date. This was done first to be able to let the interior cleaner work into the fabric, because from experience I know odours will often linger in fabrics longer than leather. So I thought if I can get the product working on the fabric first and leave it to dwell while I do the leather, that would be perfect. I started with Finesse Total and a warm microfibre cloth. Didn't quite cut it. So I cut out the middleman and grabbed a magic sponge. 90% of the time it's frowned upon within the detailing community, but sometimes you've got to go against the grain. I knew this Audi interior had this really robust, somewhat vinyl feeling leather about it. So I knew that going at it with a magic sponge wasn't going to be a problem. However, if this was a soft cream napper interior on a fine Bentley or a Rolls Royce, it's not going to work. So with a magic sponge, I sprayed some product into it, set to work on the seat. Just doing a bolster just to try the area first, taking a damp microfibre cloth in a warm bucket of water to remove most of the residue and then buffing it back off with a clean dry towel. Now this left it exactly where I thought it would. Clean, crisp and matte. Just how I like my leather. Now to save boring video time and this and that, I continued the rest of this process around the top and the other side of the seat, ensuring all nooks and crannies were worked in with a magic sponge, and especially the driver's side, right hand side bolster, as we know from our own cars that this area is always prone to heavy use. Sometimes can often take 1 or 2 hits to get your desired results, but stick at it and go easy and you'll get there in the end. On mine, I went over the driver's side bolster twice just to make sure it was perfectly clean. With the leather now said and done, it was back onto the fabric centres. A little bit more cleaner again, because I know the others had sunk in working on its deodorising properties. So a little bit more cleaner and a little bit more work from the Vikan brush just to agitate that back up to the surface, ready for the Wet Vac. Again, extremely controversial I know. However, I decided to take the Wet Vac to these seats. Like I said about the leather, it's an Audi mass-produced car. It's going to be very robust. This isn't your finest of Alcantara or suedes or anything like that. So, with the Wet Vac on, I decided to extract it all clean. The extractor actually only had hot water coming through the gum, and the rest of it was the cleaner that had already been pumped into the seat. The hot water is all you need. You don't need to be putting cleaner through your extractor if you've already cleaned it. The use of just the hot water will actually neutralise the subject and make sure that your odour is fully removed. Now with the rear of the seat also cleaned, it was onto the base. Again, taking the Auto Finesse total and liberally soaking all areas. The use of glove allows me to fully work in the product, both on the leather and the Alcantara. I'm allowing the product to sit just that little bit longer, knowing that there's 131,000 miles of grime built up into these seats. Notice the use of the glove also means that the product doesn't sit there and profusely run down the leather, causing heavy staining. With that done, it was back onto the brush and giving the seat a right good scrub again, ensuring the Alcantara and the cleaner were fully mated to allow the cleaner to work its magic, to clean all of the coffee stains and ensure that the Alcantara was fully deodorized. Now, unlike the back of the seat, they had some nooks and crannies, so I decided to take one of the new Auto Finesse detailing brushes and a spritz more total and get down into the sides of the seats, ensuring that all crumbs were fully released. Make sure you get loads of cleaner in there, because often grime, dirt, odours, old food, bits of coffee will sit and linger in there for months or years on end. So it's worthwhile taking the time just to do these smaller areas properly. And this goes for down the backs of the seat as well, where the leather meets the back of the chair meets the plastics, the sides, all of those little nooks and crannies that never get hooved or cleaned properly. Take the time, grab a detailing brush and really set to work on those areas. Now with those done, it was back to the dreaded magic sponge and some more really disgusting YouTube comments telling me that I don't know how to clean a seat because I used the magic sponge, but we'll glaze over that. Again, it was a heavily soiled area and it had 131,000 miles on the clock. This was some seriously shiny leather. There's a lot of S's. With one magic sponge done disintegrating on me due to the real abuse this leather had taken, I grabbed a new one, set to work on the other side. Again, repeating the same process that we had done throughout the rest of the chair, ensuring all areas were worked and all coffee stains were effectively removed. Now it's time to take our hot microfibre towel. Again, if at this point your bucket's starting to get a little bit cooler, it's worth just topping up with some real hot water. This was worked into all of the leather surfaces, again right down the sides of the seats, get your hands right in there, and actually worked into the fabric just to lift some of that initial grime away as well. Once that was done, it was back onto the other side, ensuring the other side had been thoroughly neutralised with the hot water. And like I say, this Audi leather is very durable. I'm not going to speak for all manufacturers here, but the Audi leather is durable, so I knew that I could really set to work and give it a good scrub away. Now with interior cleaner still sitting on the Alcantara of the base of the seat, because we know that's going to hold some odours, it was onto some of the finer details of the seats that might often get missed. First of all, we took the Auto Finesse detailing brush again with the interior cleaner, set to work on the side plastic. Often these get quite heavily marked, scuffed, bits like that. Dust sits under the handle, so it's worth taking the time, getting your detailing brush out and giving this one a thorough clean, because you don't want to have to do this on a weekly basis. With the cleaner done, it was just a dry microfibre towel to reveal a factory fresh finish left by the cleaner and detailing brush. Onto another area that often gets avoided or missed, the seat rails. As we saw from our before pictures, these are grimy. Bit of old grease in there, some old bread crumbs and biscuit crumbs and all sorts. So I took the time. This time using a smaller detailing brush, and also I've swapped out the interior cleaner for something a little bit more durable, a little tougher, in Auto Finesse Verso, the all-purpose cleaner. Diluted at 4:1, I knew this would be perfect for getting towards those grubby, greasy areas on the bottoms of the seats. Sometimes an interior cleaner just doesn't cut it and you've got to step it up a little bit. As you can see, crumbs were well and truly embedded in these rails, so sometimes you've got to get your finger in there and just poke them out and get rid of them, because you don't want them crunching around in your rails for the next 130,000 miles, that's for sure. With the rails and all the other smaller details now done, back onto the wet extractor. Again, just hot water. This time you can really see the dirt being lifted out of the base of the seat. Notice the trigger action I've got here. I'm feathering the trigger on and off. This means I'm not oversaturating the seat and water's not escaping from the extractor hood and escaping back down the bottom of the seat, often leaving those dreaded watermarks. A little burst here and there is all that's needed to help shoot that interior cleanup back up into your extractor. Ensure you do a thorough job of this, because you want to get as much water out as possible. With that done, the sun was shining and I needed to tackle the rest of the interior, so the chair was left on my front step to bask in the sun and slowly dry out. While it was drying out, I took the 4 M10 multi-spline bolts, again a little bit of Verso and a little detailing brush, and got in the centre of those multi-splines. It's the small details that really count on a job like this, so taking the time to do these bolts was definitely worth it. Now with only the chair done, we can see how dirty the water came out was. Like I say, this is just one chair, and the extractor machine was just the same. From the 2 small Alcantara sections, it was absolutely filthy. Once the water was cleaned, I gave the interior a bit of a scrub itself, making sure the plastics and all of the coffee stains from the carpets, and of course the money, had been removed for future prospects. With the seat firmly bolted back in and the airbag sensors all plumbed back in, here's the aftershots. Really happy with this. It's heavily worn, however it's not shiny anymore. It's nicely matted and we know that the Alcantara is fresh, clean and odourless. Perfect for those future driving. As always, links are in the description below, and thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I'll see you on the next one of this TT series. Cheers!